Hi, gang. Bob Boving with you for the Mystery Project. Parental guidance is fine for television warnings, but Albert believes he's past that now that he's an adult television journalist. But the word hasn't filtered through to his father, Isaac. And Isaac has just arrived in Ottawa to share more than morning tea with his son. It's Albert's life and career we're talking about. Albert's Father, Episode 1, Privilege, by Henry Comore, starring Marvin Goldhar and John Stalker.
Like kids in the schoolyard, the opposition yelled, "The dollar is too high." And the government yelled back, "No, it's not." And then it was a free-for-all. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Tis, tisn't, tis, tisn't. Even hardened reporters held their hands over their ears. But when the leader of the opposition stood up in his place and accused the government of a secret agreement with the United States to keep our Canadian dollar at an artificial level, and the Prime Minister walked out of the House, the cries of treason reached a level of decibels any self-respecting rock group would envy. Albert Bloom, UNN, Ottawa.
An 9-year-old Metro girl...
But is it true?
What true?
The secret deal, is it true? That was a good story.
That sentence was too long for TV, too complicated. I should know better.
So, what's that you got?
What does it look like? It's a cheesecake, your favorite.
You made a cheesecake?
I made a cheesecake.
You bought it?
No, I walked into the shop and held him up with a gun.
It's not a Finkelman's cheesecake, that I know.
No, it's from the best patisserie in Ottawa. They're Belgian.
Belgian? They make cheesecake in Belgium?
I'll cut you a small piece. If you don't like, don't eat.
He wants me to eat cheesecake from Belgium, of all places, without a glass tea.
Look, the kettle's on. What's the matter, Dad? Is nothing right?
What's the matter? I don't like Goyish cheesecake without a glass tea. That's a crime now? Didn't I say your story was good?
You always say my story's good.
The father praises the son. This is a crime now.
Dad, stop it. What's the problem here?
It's Ottawa.
What's Ottawa?
Oh, this Michigan is... it's not Toronto, Epis, that's what.
Look, Dad, you don't have to stay here. You still have the apartment in Toronto.
Finally.
Finally what?
You want I should go? Okay, I'll go.
Dad, did I say I wanted you to go? Did I say that?
I'm too old to argue. The kettle is boiling. You want I should make a glass tea?
That would be very nice, thank you. I'll get it.
Who rings for me in this place?
Albert Bloom.
Mr. Smodka.
Dad, do you mind? Hello, yes.
Monsieur Bloom?
Oui?
Monsieur Bloom, I have some information for you.
What sort of information? Who are you?
I cannot tell you that.
Can you give me an idea of what this is about?
No. On the telephone, ce n'est pas possible.
I'm sorry, I can't help you. Bonsoir, monsieur.
So who was it?
Some nut.
In this place, everybody's a nut. You want a piece of this cockamamie cheesecake?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
So explain. This is not on the telephone. He has a story for you? Here.
Yeah, thanks. He says he has a story, but he won't give his name or tell me what the story's about. That kind of aggravation I don't need.
But what if it's a scoop? You miss a scoop because you don't want aggravation?
Dad, please, if it's a real story, I can smell it. This one, take my word for it, is a bust.
I got it. Isaac Bloom.
Dad.
Mr. Bloom, Tim Beard at UNN. Is Albert there?
Where else would he be in this weather? Albert, it's Mr. Television News.
Tim, take no notice of Dad. He's in one of his fetching moods. What can I do for you?
So now I'm a question. He asks a question and I give an answer.
Shut up!
Albert, I've just been on to Abe. He had a call. The Prime Minister's making a secret trip to Camp David tonight. It could be big, Albert. I think he should go. Could be a big scoop. A great story tonight, by the way.
Thanks. Does Abe in his wisdom know what the trip's about?
It's big, Albert. I know it's big.
Oh, I talked to my source in the Privy Council office an hour ago. Not a word. Why tell Abe and not me?
Abe owns the network. It's that simple. It's the secret deal, Albert. I know it is. It'll be a great story. Luther's on his way to pick you up. There's a U.S. air flight in 50 minutes, nonstop to Washington.
Luther? Come on. Tim, have a heart.
I thought he was your favorite cameraman. He'll do a great job. There he is now. Give my president.
Oh, such a pleasure. Come in, come in.
Looking good, Mr. B.
I shouldn't complain.
Hi, Luther. I'll be with you in a minute. Just getting my emergency supplies.
Right you are, Mr. B.
What is this? Where are you going?
The Prime Minister's making a secret visit to Bill Clinton. We're going to eavesdrop. Here, Luther, take this down to the car, will you? I won't be a moment.
Okay, Mr. B. Goodbye, Mr. B.
Mr. B. Mr. B. He didn't have his cheesecake. So, when will you be back?
Tomorrow, probably. It's another of Tim's wild ideas. I don't even know if there's a story. Watch the news.
What else do I do? Kiss your father. You didn't drink your tea.
You'll make me another when I come back. Goodbye, Dad.
Hey, my son, the reporter. All right, I'm coming already. Isaac Bloom, yes.
Monsieur Bloom?
That's my name.
Albert Bloom?
I'm his father. Can I help you?
I must see him. I have important information for him.
Albert's not here. He's on an important story.
This also is very important.
You say this is a big story, a scoop.
It is a very big story, Mr. Bloom. It will make your son famous.
Famous he's got already. Listen, mister, my son told me you don't give a name, you won't say what's the story. In the news business, it's goodbye Tipperary.
Pardon? Je ne sais pas. Je comprends. You are a reasonable man, Monsieur Bloom, and you wish to ask questions. Questions that I can perhaps answer?
Uh-huh. Now we're getting someplace. Tell me, is this a government story?
Oui.
Uh-huh. And would you by any chance be, Mr. X?
Monsieur Hex? Je comprends. Oui, Monsieur Bloom, you can call me Mr. Hex.
So, it tells me what it's about and gives a name. Where's the problem? Listen, mister, maybe you give me this story.
1 hour. You meet me in the parking lot, Dalhousie and York. A blue Plymouth. You get in passenger seat and wait.
Hey, mister. Hello? Hello? Albert, I think your father is making a fool of himself. Driver, this is York and Dalhousie?
This is it, the 6 1/4.
Can you see a blue Plymouth in the parking lot?
No. Oh, wait a minute. There, right at the end there, against the wall.
Thank you. Here, keep the change. Oh, yes, fuck. Let's hope this is kosher. Boy, what a place this Ottawa. In Toronto, at least, there'd be people around. Here, everybody goes home. Hello? Anybody in the car? Ivy, this I don't like.
Do not turn around, Monsieur Bloom. I'm going to pass you an envelope. Sit there for 5 minutes, get out, and go home. Give the envelope to your son. Do you understand?
Can I ask a question?
Oui.
Why all this cloak and dagger? You in trouble, maybe?
Bonsoir, Monsieur Bloom. Give the envelope to your son.
I only asked. Go in good health. Aha. Yitzhak. James Bond, you ain't. But this guy ain't so smart either.
I tell you, Tim, it was very suspicious. All we got was a photo op, and right at the end, the president drops his little bombshell. Here, I'll play the audio tape.
The Prime Minister tells me that up in Canada there's talk of some secret deal about the Canadian dollar. Well, I can assure you folks that there's no such deal with this administration.
And then they go back in the house. No questions, nothing.
Were CBC and CTV there?
No, of course not. We got the scoop, such as it is. But why? I think it smells, Tim. I think they're setting us up, but I can't figure out why. You want to go with it?
You're in Washington. Everything smells. Get your flight back. I'll call you after the morning meeting. By the way, your father's been calling. He says to call him. It's urgent.
What else is new? If he calls again, tell him I'm on my way home. And yes, I like a glass of tea. Thanks a bunch. You did what?
Don't get so hot. I got you a big story, maybe.
You could have got yourself killed. Talk about Meshuggah. You get in some man's car in a place you don't know for what? Tell me, for what?
For this. Read. It's a big story.
I see, Mr. Aficionado of the news. You think this is a big story?
I can read, can't I? The government of Canada agrees as a confidential annex to the free trade agreement to exert every effort to maintain the Canadian dollar above 85 cents U.S. Signed and sealed. That's a big story.
How do you know it's genuine?
Of course it's genuine.
It looks it, I admit, but it could be forged. I can't use this, Dad. Who was this guy? If I knew he was genuine and had genuine access, then maybe. Unless
what? Albert. Unless what?
Unless I get independent confirmation.
So who are you ring, sir?
Privy Council office?
Dick McDonald, please.
Who's calling, please?
Albert Bloom.
One moment.
Who is this guy?
We go back a long way. I trust him completely. He's never lied to me.
Albert, what's up?
Dick, I've got a document in my hand that I think is the smoking gun everybody's been looking for.
Albert, you can't use it. I flew down just to tell you that. Abe's told the Prime Minister.
He did what?
Listen, Albert. The PM's fighting mad. He said if we go with this, he'll come down on us like a ton of bricks. Abe's worried about the CRTC hearings. You know, his license. You know how it is.
Okay, calm down, Tim. I know I can't use it as it is. Why the hell can't Abe keep his mouth shut? Listen, if I get it confirmed, then what?
Well, who's going to confirm it?
Remember Woodward and Bernstein? I'm going to steal a trick from them. I'm going to make a phone call. So listen in and don't even breathe.
Privy Council office?
Yes, it's Albert Bloom. Put Dick McDonald on, please.
I can't talk, Albert.
You don't have to say a word. If the document is a fake, put the phone down. If it's genuine, just give me 5 seconds of silence.
I better ring Abe.
We've got a scoop.
This document, which a highly placed source confirms as genuine, is proof positive that a secret agreement long denied by the government does exist and remains in force. The Prime Minister's office refused all comment. Switch it off, Dad. Enough already.
Fine.
It's great. It's great. Pour me another drink. Wind it back. Let's watch it again.
I'll get it. Hey, not so much of a hoo-ha. We can hear you.
Mr. Albert Bloom? Who wants to know?
I'm Sergeant Withers. This is Sergeant Gauthier, RCMP. Mr. Albert Bloom?
I'm Albert Bloom.
Mr. Bloom, I have a warrant for your arrest. You are charged with theft under $1,000 and breach of national security.
Mr. Bloom, stand up. You're asking this court to believe that the document specified in the charges was given to you by a person you refused to identify.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you also say that you obtained confirmation of the accuracy of the document from a source whom you also will not identify, claiming the protection of Section 2B of the Charter of Rights and Freedom.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I've examined the precedents, Moisa and Alberta and others, and I find that the protection you seek is not available to you. I order you to name the individuals from whom you claim to have received this information. And I must warn you that failure to answer will place you in contempt of this court. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm afraid I can't answer.
You mean you will not answer?
I mean, Your Honor, that as a journalist, I may not answer.
You're in contempt of this court, Mr. Bloom. I sentence you to spend the night in a prison cell. You will appear before me at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, when I will give you an opportunity to purge your contempt. Court is adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Be standing. Mr. Judge, silence.
Shut up, Dad.
Listen, Judge.
Order.
I'm the guilty one. I gave him the document.
Silence!
This court will come to order. If there is any further disturbance, I will hold those responsible to be in contempt. You, sir, come forward. What is your name?
Isaac Bloom, Judge.
Mr. Bloom, do you have evidence to give that is pertinent to this case?
Do I have evidence, or do I have evidence?
Yes, that is exactly the question I'm asking, Mr. Bloom.
You're asking, and I'm telling.
Step into the witness box. Clerk, I believe Mr. Bloom wishes to affirm.
Don't do this, Dad. I don't need it. Go back to Toronto for once in your life. Keep stum.
Mr. Bloom, once again you are in contempt. Take him down. Remove him from my court.
Don't listen to him, Your Honor. He's a madman. Don't listen to him.
Now then, you say you gave Mr. Bloom the document.
I gave it to him, yes.
And from whom did you receive it?
Aha.
What did you say?
That's the question.
Indeed, that is the question, and what is the answer?
Aha.
I warn you that if you do not answer the question, I will find you in contempt.
I can't answer. It's a privilege.
You mean privileged?
You see?
You're not a journalist. You cannot claim privilege.
My son is a journalist. I was his agent.
Are you refusing to tell this court from whom you received the document?
I'm sorry, Judge. I can't tell you.
I find you in contempt of court.
Albert.
Don't talk to me. I'm not talking to you.
Fine place you got here. Very cozy. So, what's with the bucket?
What bucket? It's not for washing him, Dad. Oh, my God.
What? What?
Why'd you have to draw my attention to it? I wasn't even thinking about it.
So if you want to go, go.
I can't.
Listen, Albert, I'll tell you a secret. When you were a little pisher, I changed your diapers all the time. If your mother could see us now.
If Ma could see us now, she'd be making chicken soup and kreplach and scheming how to smuggle it in.
Better she should smuggle us out.
Oh, now he says it. Why didn't you just tell the judge that you didn't see the man in the car, and you can't say who gave you the paper because you don't know?
Because if I said that, I'd be committing perjury. Then I could really go to jail.
What are you saying? You telling me you know this guy? You know who he is?
Sure, you think I'm a greener?
I know I shouldn't ask this. What's a greener?
A greener, greenhorn. A greenhorn I'm not. Born yesterday I wasn't.
Or the day before yesterday. Okay, so who is he?
His name is Gene Herbert. He works for the government. He lives on St. Julian in Hull.
How do you know all this?
He keeps his car ownership and his driver's license in the glove compartment of his car. So sue me, I looked.
I didn't know he works for the government.
I made a phone call.
Why didn't you tell me all this before?
Well, what chance did I have? I leave a message at the television news, you don't call. And after your story was such a smash, it didn't seem to matter. Then the Mounties got their man, and it was too late already.
Well, you're going to have to give his name in court tomorrow morning, if we live that long.
I got a better idea. You call your friend Dick in the Pisher's office.
You mean Dick McDonald in the PCO?
That's the fella.
Well, why on earth should I call him?
He's your friend? You
Yeah,
trust him?
yeah.
Well, he's not so smart. I found his business card in the glove compartment also.
I trusted him completely.
That's why I thought it was kosher.
And I said my source was privileged, that bastard. Pass the bucket, Dad.
Mr. Bloom, the charges against your son have been withdrawn. Therefore, the question of his contempt of court has become moot. You, however, are different. Very different. It is with some trepidation that I ask whether you have anything to say for yourself.
Certainly, Your Honor.
I hope you'll be brief.
If I offended you, I'm sorry. I was fighting for my son. If you have the mitzvah of children, Judge, you will know from where I'm speaking.
Have you finished?
You asked for brief, you got brief. Your Honor.
Yes, I do have the blessing of children, Mr. Bloom. That is the meaning of mitzvah, is it not?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Do you have other children, Mr. Bloom?
I had a daughter, Leah Sholem. She had cancer. And you, Judge?
2 girls and a boy.
Following their father's footsteps?
My son, yes. Well, if there was any contempt in this court, Mr. Bloom, we're both sorry for it, I think. You are dismissed. Court is adjourned.
All rise.
So? How's the cheesecake? Yeah. That good, eh?
Albert, are you going to tell me or not?
Tell you?
The document. Was it real or was it forged?
Well, they got 10,000 experts who say the signatures are forgeries, so the paper we had was a fake. That's all I got off. They can hardly charge me with stealing a secret document if it's a forgery.
So if they knew it was a phony in the first place, why did they arrest you in the second place?
Ha!
Albert, don't give me the aha. Answer the question.
2 possibilities. We were getting too close to the truth, and they planned a forgery on me. That way, they could sell everybody on the idea that I was either very naive or politically motivated and scare us away from the story.
That's only the one possibility.
Well, the document was genuine, there is an agreement, and the experts are lying.
So, what about the story?
A story? How about the 52-year-old journalist who thought he'd seen it all? He knew not to listen to crazies on the telephone promising scoops. He knew the owner of his beloved network, the great Mumser Abe Slater, was in bed with the Prime Minister. He even knew that politics is a dirty game in which you wear a protective cup at all times. What he didn't know is that he was going to get blindsided
By his father yet.
by his father yet. Who am I going to trust now, Dad? Who am I going to trust now?
I just wanted to help you get a scoop.
I don't need a scoop. I need a shovel.
What do you want from my life, Albert? I'm sorry.
That ain't good enough. You want to hit me over the head? You want to throw me out? Go ahead. I've been thrown out of better places. Tomorrow I go back to Toronto.
If that's what you want, okay.
It's okay by you. It's okay by me.
You still don't understand, do you, Dad? Journalism is my profession. It's my life. You've got to let me do it my way.
A regular Frank Sinatra.
I don't mind making a fool of myself. I just don't need help from my father.
Okay, I get the message. So now what?
Now, we go on to something else.
Like what, for instance?
Like how come you told the judge mitzvah means a blessing? You know it means a good deed, God's will.
Albert, there's an old saying. The reward of a mitzvah is another mitzvah. The judge let me off, didn't he? So he performed a mitzvah. And tonight he'll sleep good. Now it's my turn.
To perform a mitzvah?
To make tea for my son, the reporter. It's your turn to sit, my turn to make. So sit. Switch on the TV. It's time for the news.
This has been the first episode of Albert's Father by Henry Comore, a play called Privilege. In the cast, you heard Marvin Goldhar as Isaac and John Stalker as Albert. With them were Ian Deacon as Luther and Ken James as Tim Beard. Special guest performers were Ron Hartman as Corrigan, Jacqueline Blais as Yvette, and the late Jean-Marc Amiot as Hébert. Ray Landry did the voice of Bill Clinton. Wayne Robson was heard as both the taxi driver and Dick, while Dennis O'Connor played the clerk and Sergeant Withers. Music for the series was composed and conducted by Milan Kimlicka. The casting consultant was Linda Grierson. Script consultant was James W. Nichol. The recording engineer was John McCarthy. Sound effects were by Matt Wilcott. Nancy McElveen was the associate producer. Our coordinating producer is Barry Morgan. Albert's Father was produced and directed in Toronto by Bill Howell, the executive producer of the Mystery Project. I'm Bob Boving, thanking you for listening and inviting your comments. Hi, gang. Bob Boving here for the Mystery Project and the second episode of Albert's Father by Henry Comore. When Albert tries to keep up with his job as a TV journalist, his father, Isaac, continues his visit and his own brand of helping hand with his son's career. When a story of big-time racketeering breaks, Isaac discovers that he knows something that could be dangerous. The Mafia Knows My Father, starring Marvin Goldhar as Isaac and John Stalker as Albert.
At 8 o'clock last night, Senator Philip Contreras drove from Montreal to deliver a letter to the leader of the official opposition, the Right Honorable Chuck Porter. Signed by 22 members of his caucus, including the senator, the letter demanded that Mr. Porter resign. For 8 long hours, the leader's been meeting with his accusers and his supporters. One of his senior advisors, who refused to appear on camera, said, Mr. Porter will not resign. He's not going to give in to this very Canadian coup. No one knows when the meeting will end, but we're staying here to bring it to you live as it happens. Albert Bloom, UNN, Ottawa. Is that okay, Luther?
Barry says it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give him the message, Tom. There's a message for you from your father. He says it's urgent.
Everything's urgent with my father.
Right, Mr. B.
You have a cell phone?
Yeah, always at the ready, Mr. B.
Thank you.
Isaac Bloom, hello.
It's me, Dad.
Albert, your father you can't ring?
Dad, it's me. I'm ringing. Aren't you watching the television?
Cool down. I'm taping already. Albert.
Yes, Dad.
What time are you home?
Is that the urgent message? What time am I coming home?
Albert, I have a story for you.
I've got a story. I don't need another. Thank you very much.
Hey, not so smart with your father. What you've got, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. What I've got is a real story. A doozy. A Lollapalooza.
Let me guess. They're bringing back the Charleston. I gotta go, Dad. I'll see you later.
This is important.
Sorry, Dad. Not now.
Where's the going, Scott Sanders? Hey, get a statement.
Read that. What's that mean?
A moment, please. I have a statement. The leader will give a short press conference in the press theater in 30 minutes. Until then, there will be no statements from anyone. 30 minutes.
Is he gone? Did he stay? Hey, Mr. Lippert, something I just did.
Excuse me, please.
Time for a cuppa, Mr. B?
Sure. I'll just call the station and get him running for a live feed. Hold up, Luther, and get the camera rolling. I spy an interview.
Who's that, Mr. B?
Len Lipworth, the chairman of the opposition caucus, and Arthur Swinburne, the minister of trade. But what the hell are they doing together?
So who do we take?
Take Lipworth. Swinburne I can get any time. Mr. Lipworth? Okay, Luther?
Fire when ready, Mr. B.
And no interviews, Mr. Bloom.
Whoever emerges as the leader, we stand behind him.
It was supposed to be a ritual execution with cries of liberty and freedom and tyranny is dead. But in the world of the official opposition, the script did not copy Shakespeare. Instead, the chairman of the caucus gave a pallid endorsement.
Whoever emerges as the leader, we stand behind him.
But it was the leader, the Right Honorable Chuck Porter, who had the last word.
Over the last 9 hours, we have had a frank exchange of views. I now have the complete support of the entire caucus.
What about Senator Contreras? He said it isn't over.
The senator must have missed a very large lady singing. And I do not refer to the member from York Southwest.
So, what do you think?
As a comedian, he makes a good politician. Listen, Albert, this isn't a story. I've got a real story.
Okay, Dad, I'm listening. Give me the story.
This morning I'm thinking, Albert likes fresh pasta. And in Ottawa, for people who like the fresh, where do you go?
Well, on Bank Street, there's a place...
Albert, I'm not asking, I'm telling, keep stum. You don't go to your fancy place on Bank Street. You go where the Italians go, on Preston.
We call it the pasta sauce.
So I'm walking along Preston, and I'm telling you, Blue Street West it ain't. And I'm looking in the windows, and all of a sudden, Peggy, I smell coffee. And you know what I think? I think, Yitzchak, maybe this Ottawa ain't so bad.
Wow, after 5 weeks, a word of praise.
Okay, it ain't so great either. So I'm outside this place, the Trattoria Palermo, and I think to myself, a cappuccino and a cream-horn would maybe not be so bad.
Ooh, this is some story.
Are you going to let me tell it or not?
Tell.
So I go in. A young fella sits me down. His name's Gino. He comes from Ravenna on the sea near Rimini. And he sends over the waiter. He gives me my cup. And at that moment, the door opens. And everybody in the place goes stoop.
Signore Nee!
An honor. Come this way.
It's good to see you again, Gino. Lead the way.
Gewalt.
Signore? Are you sick?
What? What did you say?
You look as if you see a ghost.
No. What I see is not a ghost. It's a nightmare. You know something, Elvin? For the next couple of minutes, I couldn't move. But thank God I could still think. And right away, I knew what was happening.
Dad, you've lost me. Who was this guy?
Nate Niedowitz, better known as Nate Needles, is the big boss in Toronto. You thought somehow Jews weren't in the Mafia? You thought it was all Italians? Now you know better.
So, this is the biggest story of my life. Nate Needles is in town.
Don't be so smart with your father. You know nothing.
So tell me, for God's sake.
Watch your tongue, Albert. If you listen, you'll learn something. Nate Niedowitz is the boss. 40 years he's been the boss. In Toronto. Here in Ottawa is not his territory. Here he comes only for something big. Something very big.
You can't possibly know that, Dad.
I haven't finished. The waiter goes to bring me a schnapps, so I pretend to go to the toilet at the back where they have one of those curtains made of beads like Bogart in Casablanca.
Dad.
Okay. So I look through, and who do you think I saw?
Nate Needles.
Of course, Nate Needles. But who is he with? Embo Catroni from Montreal, the Capo de Tutti Capi in Quebec, and Pietro Polsi from New York. I tell you, Albert, never is this possible unless something very big is going to happen. And it's going to happen here, in Ottawa.
How do you know all this?
Albert, after 60 years on Spadina Avenue in the schmutter business, these are things you know.
Well, it's a story, all right, but I'm not sure how to go after it. I take it Nate Needles doesn't give interviews. Do you know how he got the name?
That you don't want to know.
Dad, I'm 52 years old.
About Niedowitz, I hope never to tell you. It's a gun if me drack.
You know this man. I mean, you know him.
I know him. For 65 years I know him. We're at school together, Harvard Collegiate. Everyone's afraid of him.
Even you?
I'm not a fool, Albert. Of Nate Needowitz, I'm afraid. And your mother, Alea Hersholen, she too was afraid of him.
He knew Ma.
We were at school together, I told you. There were 5 of us. Your mother and me, Maury Cowan, Russell Lipschitz, and Nate.
He was your friend?
Nobody else would have him. Your mother and Russell were sorry for him. Then he became a runner for the numbers. The school threw him out. It was 1930. What was he to do? He had to prove he was tougher than any of them. So he became Nate Needles.
How? Dad, how?
It's what he used. Needles, sharp needles. The lucky ones got only one through the eye into the brain.
Oh.
Well, it was over in seconds. But mostly, he did it for pleasure. And then he could take hours, sometimes more than a day.
Oh, my God.
There's more, Albert. But more I cannot tell. Even to you. I'll make tea now.
Dad.
What?
It's nothing.
You have to get this story, Albert. You have to get this story.
Minister, do you have a reaction to the attempted coup by the official opposition against their leader?
Certainly. If that party can't govern their own affairs, how do they expect to govern the country?
So there's no truth to the rumors that you and some of your colleagues are asking the Prime Minister to step down gracefully before the next election?
The Prime Minister led us to victory before, and I'm certain he'll lead us to victory again.
Does that mean you asked him and he said no?
It means what I said. Interview over. I said one question, and I meant one question.
Who's the cheeky monkey then?
The rumors are all over the place, Luther, and I, for one, believe them.
In the House of Commons, the Prime Minister greeted the leader of the opposition by saying that he was glad to see the Right Honourable gentleman in his rightful place. But outside, his ministers had something else to say.
If that party can't govern their own affairs, how do they expect to govern the country?
But high-level sources in Mr. Swinburne's own party say that the Prime Minister himself has been asked to step aside before an election due to be called within the next 12 months. To use the vernacular,
Albert.
Something's cooking in both camps, and the kitchen's getting very hot indeed.
Shut up. Wait till you finish. You're not going to believe this.
Ottawa.
Albert, this minister you had on, what's his name?
Arthur Swinburne, Minister for International Trade. What about him?
Yesterday at the Italian place. He was there.
On his own?
I don't remember. He was there. He was sitting at a table drinking coffee.
Dad, are you absolutely sure it was Swinburne you saw?
Roll back the tape.
Dad.
Roll back the tape. Let me take another look-see.
Did you mark it?
It's not too far. Try here.
And his supporters.
No, that's yesterday. You've gone too far.
All right, I'll fast forward.
Stop!
What?
Stop.
What?
Go back. The slow way. Give me, it's called search or something.
Okay, hey, I can do it. What are we looking for?
Press play. Albert.
Okay.
Valid endorsement.
There. Freeze, you see? You see in the right-hand corner?
I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for.
Use that zoom thing. Not in the middle. Press it again. Again. There, look.
So?
It's him. He was there.
Arthur Swinburne, I know. He and Lipworth were talking. I didn't think anything of it.
He must be telling him what was going on. That's why those gunners are in Ottawa.
What are you talking about?
They want to take over the government. This thing you were at, the what is it, the Caucus.
The Caucus.
Is there a difference? Nate and his friends, they want to put in one of their own.
But that was an opposition meeting. Hey, stretching their bets. Are you saying Len Lipworth, the chairman of the opposition caucus, and Arthur Swinburne, the trade minister, are in the pay of the Mafia?
So why not? Isn't that what big business tries to do all the time? The Mafia is dirty business and big business rolled into one.
That still doesn't explain why Nate Needles and his friends are in Ottawa. Why are they here, Dad? Why? They don't need to be here to watch over their investments, so why?
There's something you should understand, Albert. They don't play happy families all the time. This Arthur Swinburne answers to Nate. Maybe. And Lipworth took a trony in Montreal. Or the other way around, who knows? But when I see them all together, the politicians and the crooks, then I know, however they settle it, it won't be good for the rest of us.
And the guy from New York? You think he's there to referee?
I don't know, Albert. That's what you've got to find out.
So, what can I do for you, Albert?
I'm trying to get a picture of your caucus meeting, Mr. Lipworth.
Len. Call me Len. Now, you know I can't tell you what went on. By their very nature, caucus meetings have got to be confidential.
But this time everybody's talking. Off the record, but they're talking.
Talking or spinning?
Is there a difference? Just give me your spin, Len, off the record, if you like. That's why I didn't bring the camera crew. For example, I'm told that if the coup had been successful, as caucus chairman, you would have been elected interim leader.
Oh, that's an interesting fantasy. Where'd you get that from?
Is it true?
Come on, Albert. You know I'm a loyal supporter of Chuck Porter. I am not going to answer hypothetical questions.
But the coup isn't over yet, is it?
Isn't it?
Arthur Swinburne doesn't seem to think it is.
Swinburne? Well, he's in the government. What could he know about our caucus meetings? He's stirring it up, that's all.
I see. So if he says you told him, he's stirring it up.
Come on, Albert. You don't believe that sort of mishigas, do you?
Mishigas? No, of course not. Thanks, Len. That explains a lot.
Anytime, Albert. We've got to stick together, haven't we?
You didn't know he was Jewish?
I never thought about it. He doesn't advertise it.
I know lots of Lipworths Jewish. Aren't you worried to ask this Swinburne fella and find out you were making it up?
Of course he'll ask. I want him to ask. That's the whole point, Dad. How else are we going to smoke them out?
No. You did good. So now what?
Now we wait.
You expecting company?
No, are you?
Who do I know in this place? Hold your horses, I'm coming already. I gave already.
Don't be a fuss, Yitzchak. You must be little Albert.
I don't think we've met.
Oh, we've met. When you were a little pisher, I daddled you on my knee. Isn't that right, Yitzchak?
What are you doing here, Nate? What do you want from us?
Make a glass tea, Yitzchak. I want to talk to your son.
You shtick dreck. Get out of my house.
Dad, make tea for us, please. Sit down, Mr. Nadowitz.
You always said you had a smart one, Yitzchak. Smarter than his father. You've done well, Albert. I see you on the television. They tell me you're a good reporter. A bit fancy for my taste, but what do I know about that business?
I wouldn't know. What's your business?
These days, this and that. Mostly I'm retired, like your father. Right now, I'm interested in you.
Really?
I have a message for you. It's an Italian proverb. Che orvo bordo tucci campa cente anni in pace. It means he who is deaf, dumb, and blind will live 100 years in peace.
It's not a good idea to threaten a reporter, Mr. Niedowitz. It's bad public relations.
Oh, this son of yours is a tough guy, Yitzchak. Like you used to be.
He's the political correspondent for UNN. That means...
I know what that means. You stick to your knitting, or I'll come out of retirement and go back to mine. You understand that, Albert? Your father has told you about me?
Yeah, he's told me.
Not everything, I think.
To what in particular am I supposed to be deaf, dumb, and blind? Influencing the government, buying up a cabinet minister? Isn't that normal behavior for big business?
Don't get smart with me, Albert. You know I could have sent a messenger. I came myself for old time's sake. Don't do anything foolish. And that goes for you, Yitzchak. I'll see myself out.
He's a disease.
He is. But you were right, Dad. This is a big story. The biggest. Albert Bloom. You sure? I'll be there in 20 minutes.
No?
Arthur Swinburne has just been found face down in a parking lot in Preston. He'd been shot 4 times at close range in the back of the head.
Like a vault.
Yeah. I gotta go to the studio. They want me to do a political piece for the 11 o'clock. Reaction stuff. Police are calling it a typical mob execution.
Si, signore.
Grappa e espresso, prego.
Si, signore.
And tell Nate Isaac wants to see him.
Signore?
Get Nate. Pronto, capiche?
Si, signore.
We've been talking to the leader of Her Majesty's loyal opposition, the Right Honorable Chuck Porter. I'm Albert Bloom.
Mr. B, your dad called. He wants you to meet him at the Trattoria Palermo on Preston. He says it's urgent.
Oh, my God. Trouble, Albert? No personal. Thanks for this, sir.
For you, Albert, anytime.
What the hell are you doing here?
Waiting for Nate.
He's coming?
He's coming.
How do you know?
I sent for him. He's coming.
Dad, how are you involved in this?
Have patience, Albert. Aha.
What aha?
Yitzchak. An alta-caca like you should be in bed already. Albert, I told you before, you should look after your father. Tre grappa. We have schnapps together. That's all.
Albert thinks you killed this Swinburne. I know better.
Is that right?
That's right. If it was you, it would have been in the front of the head, not the back.
And that wouldn't be gentlemanly, would it?
Albert, don't talk. Listen.
Tre grappa?
After you left us, Nate, I thought to myself, how did you know Albert was onto this story? Because you saw me having a coffee? Because I saw you with those paskudniaks? No. Apart from Albert and me, only one person knew. The person Albert interviewed.
Len Lipworth.
I told you I know lots of Lipworths Jewish. They changed their name from Lipschitz.
Be careful, Yitzchak. Be very careful.
I'm 75 years old. Kill me if you want. But for my son, I'd do anything. Anything. And so would you for your son. You remember I told you, Albert, how it was for me and your mother at school?
Yeah, you, Ma, Maury Cowan, and Rachel Lipschitz.
And Nate Niedowitz. He wanted your ma. She wouldn't have him. And then he wanted Rachel. I kept asking myself, why is Nate in Ottawa? And now I know. Len Lipworth is his son. He wants him to be Prime Minister someday, so he came here to help.
So what is it you want, old man?
Give my son the story. Why Swinburne was killed.
And my Leonard?
If he resigns, we keep him out of the story. All right, Albert?
I don't know,
You
Dad.
must, Albert. You want another one killed? Is it a deal, Nate?
Answer me a question, Albert. You told my Leonard that Swinburne had talked to you about him. I said you were bluffing. I was right, wasn't I?
Mr. Nidowitz, you play poker?
What's that got to do with it?
In poker, you have to pay to find out. You going to give me the story?
I would have called you a bluff, but my colleagues believed you. So Arthur Swinburne had to pay. Leonard will resign. They'd have found out about him anyway. For the rest, I tell you only where to look. More I cannot give you, even for my son. I once gave you my word, Yitzchak, never to touch you. Don't tempt me again.
At the end of his statement to the House, on the same day that two men were charged with the murder of Arthur Swinburne, the Prime Minister gave credit to UNN Television News for uncovering the infiltration by organized crime into the political fabric of this country. For a moment in time, the Canadian media can bask in this unaccustomed goodwill, but none of us is under any illusions. Tomorrow, the sun will rise in the east, and the old antagonisms will reemerge with it, burning as brightly as ever. Albert Bloom, UNN.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Albert. You did a good job.
Think so?
Hey, what's the matter? You're not happy?
Tell me the truth about you and Nate Needles.
Truth? I've told you the truth.
You told me nothing. Just because you were in the schmutta business doesn't explain how you know so much about the mafia, about the mob, about Nate Needles, how he killed people.
I'll make a glass tea now.
Dad, I'm your son. Don't you think I realize you used me in this? I've got to know why.
I've known him for 65 years. That's enough.
No, Dad. It's not.
He wanted your mother. He always wanted her. Then he wanted money for protection, not to hurt her. She wouldn't let me. He threatened your life, your little sister. What could I do?
Oh, my God.
Wasn't much to begin with. Letting him use my truck, cleaning up his money. But my friend, my partner, Maury Cowan, he said no. No, he said. So, one night, Nidowitz made of him an example. And I, your father, said nothing. I'll make tea now.
Dad.
Albert?
Kiss your son, the reporter.
Now I'll make the tea.
You've been listening to The Mafia Knows My Father, Episode 2 of Albert's Father by Henry Comore. Featured in our cast, Marvin Goldhar was Isaac, with John Stalker as Albert. Ian Deacon was Luther. Dennis O'Connor was Withers. Howard Jerome was Nate. Thomas Hoff was Lipworth. With them were Louise DiBianco as Contrera, Michael Tate as Porter, Robert Benson as Swinburne, Louis Negan as Gino, and Adam Perfaro as the waiter. Music was composed and conducted by Milan Kimlicka. The casting consultant was Linda Gerson. The script consultant was James W. Nichol. John McCarthy was the recording engineer with sound effects by John Stewart. The associate producer was Nancy Dow. Our coordinating producer is Barry Morgan. Albert's Father was produced and directed by Bill Howell, the executive producer of the Mystery Project. I'm Bob Boving, thanking you for listening and inviting your comments. Next time, Isaac gets involved with a beautiful stranger on a train. And we all know what that can lead to. Hi, gang. Bob Boving with you for the Mystery Project and this week's episode of Henry Comore's series, Albert's Father. All signs indicate that Isaac has decided to live permanently with Albert in Ottawa. Right now he's on the train from Toronto, where he's put a plan into action. But there's another scenario unfolding around him. Lady on a Train, Episode 3 of Albert's Father, starring Marvin Goldhar and John Stalker.
Give you my phone number in Ottawa. You give me a call, maybe. In the old days, I had business cards.
This is not business, I think.
No, not business. My pleasure only.
Do you smoke, Isaac?
I used to. A little. A lot. A little. Now I don't. Let me open that for you.
Merci, monsieur.
When I smoked, it was cheap. Now it's expensive.
All that tax. It is criminal, n'est-ce pas?
No smoking, ma'am. Smoking section's 2 cars back.
Oh, je regrette. I had forgotten.
You'd like to go back, maybe? I'll come with you.
Oh, why would you do that?
Since Toronto, I'm sitting here talking to a beautiful woman. I'm not such a fool as to want it to end.
No. A cigarette is not so important, I think. Much better to sit here with you.
Kingston, next stop, Kingston.
You see, anyway, going back there would not have been possible. The time has gone so quickly talking to you, Monsieur Blue.
Isaac.
Yes, I'm sorry, Isaac. Mais je regrette. This is where I get off.
I thought you said you were going to Ottawa.
Tomorrow or the next day. But today, Kingston. But I have your telephone number. I can still call you, oui? When I get to Ottawa?
Oh, sure. Call me. We'll have dinner, maybe.
Kingston Station.
Au revoir, Denise.
Au revoir, Isaac. And thank you.
Merci, mademoiselle. Although I don't think I've done anything to deserve such a kiss.
Oh, don't be so certain, Isaac.
Your cigarettes.
No. You keep them till we meet again.
You got everything?
Yes, thank you.
Denise Portier.
Oui?
Corporal Talley, RCMP. We need to ask you some questions, Miss Portier. Won't take more than a few minutes. These your bags?
No, just this one.
This one's not yours?
No, that one is mine, Corporal.
And you are, sir?
Isaac Bloom. My son is Albert Bloom on the television, UNN.
Is that right? I watch him all the time. And this is your case, sir?
Mine, yes. It's mine.
Thanks very much, sir. This way, Miss Portier.
Taxi, monsieur. Repartez vos valises. Taxi right here.
No, merci, thanks.
All right, so... I charge you only $5.
Put them down, please. I don't need a taxi. My son is meeting me. There he is. Albert, over here.
Dad, anything wrong here?
Albert, tell the schtick fast. I don't need a cab. He won't listen to me.
Monsieur, nous ne désirons pas un taxi, merci. Donnez-moi les valises.
But...
Merci. Are both these yours, Dad?
No, they belong to the Queen of England.
Merci, monsieur. Au revoir. Come on, Dad, the car's over here. Whew, taxi business must be bad. You nearly got hijacked. You got a new case, I see.
No, it's an old one.
I don't remember it.
A glass tea I like.
So, how was Toronto? That's all you can say.
I put the apartment on the market.
You're selling the apartment? Your apartment? You're selling it?
I should sell somebody else's apartment?
I don't know. Just took me by surprise, that's all.
I don't have to stay here. I can find somewhere else to live.
Of course not. I want you to stay here.
We share the expenses, 50-50.
Well, I don't know.
What? What?
You should pay a couple of dollars extra. For the tea.
You want to bargain with me? Okay, I'll pay $1.
$1.75.
$1.25.
$1.50.
You got a deal. $1.50 a month for tea ain't so bad.
You really want to give it up? You love that apartment. You love Toronto.
Toronto's Toronto. It's a good apartment. We had good times there. But it's time for a change. I went to the club. Suddenly they're all baseball maidens. Mrs. Rothstein even. Instead of playing a card, she talks about who she wants to trade. Elmar, Olerud. You think they were Jewish. She sends them gefilte fish even.
Drink your tea. I'll get it. Albert Bloom.
Isaac?
No, this is Albert. Who's speaking, please?
Can I speak to Isaac?
Just a minute. It's for you, Dad.
Isaac Bloom.
Isaac, is that you?
Oh, sure, it's me. Are you okay?
I'm okay. It was nothing.
Where are you?
In Kingston. Isaac, do you have my valise?
Don't worry, I've got it. Are you in trouble, maybe?
No. I will explain when I see you.
When?
Tomorrow, or the next day. I will call you when I am in Ottawa. You take me to dinner, yes?
It will be my pleasure.
I look forward to it. Au revoir, mon chéri.
Thanks for calling. I'll consider it. Goodbye.
No?
What new?
You going to tell me who it was?
Nothing. A travel agent wants to sell me a holiday on a cruise ship of all things. She's a nice woman, so I'm pretending I'm interested.
You asked if she was in trouble.
Not at all. She told me the price, and I said, is that for a double? You're listening to your father's phone calls now?
No, of course not. As a matter of fact, I was looking at your new suitcase.
I told you it's not new.
What have you got in it? It weighs a ton.
Put it down, Albert. Put it down.
Okay, don't get mad. What's so important?
Nothing.
Dad, this is Albert, your son, remember? Tell me the truth. What, Dad? Tell me.
A girl. I sat next to a girl on the train. At Kingston, she was getting off. A Mountie comes, wants to talk to her, question her.
And the bag?
The Mountie says, is this your bag? She don't answer, so I say it's mine.
What?
Don't ask. To such questions, I don't have the answers.
Dad, we've got to open it.
No.
Listen to me. If you've been carrying drugs, you could go to jail for 100 years.
I should be so lucky. Okay, open it. I can vault.
Dad, look at it. Money, a fortune.
How much do you think?
Must be thousands. Who was this woman?
Her name's Denise. That was her on the phone.
She's some travel agent. Oh, look, there's $5,000 right here. There must be more than $200,000 altogether. It's not counterfeit. I'm sure it's genuine. God, I've never seen so much money. It's got to be drugs, Dad. There's no other explanation. We've got to call the police.
No, not the police. Not yet. She'll be here tomorrow. Or the next day. I'll get her to explain it.
You'd better, Dad. Or we are in big trouble. The late John Diefenbaker compared Canada to a garden. into which have been transplanted the hardiest and brightest flowers from many lands. After this week in the House of Commons, he might have quoted Hamlet and said that it's an unweeded garden that grows to seed. I'm Albert Bloom. This has been the first in our new series, Inside Ottawa. Good night.
That's a wrap, Mr. B. The new producer is coming in.
Oh, thank you, Luther. Did you like the show?
Can't say, Mr. B. Too busy taking the butchers through the camera to listen.
Is that a fact? And here I've been thinking you hang on my every word.
It's the producer's word I hang on, Mr. B. Calling Dad, are we?
As a matter of fact, Luther, we are.
I don't know if this thing is working, but if it is, this is Isaac Bloom. I'm not here, so leave a number and I'll call you back. And if it's you, Albert, I won't be home for dinner.
Thanks, Dad.
Look out, Mr. B. Here she comes. Good night, Mr. B.
Good night, Luther.
Yeah, good night, Mrs. G.
Good night, Luther. Thank you. Mrs. G. Does he think I look like a horse?
If he does, he's blind.
Oh, thank you. Show was excellent, Albert.
Thanks, Mrs. Gerson.
Oh, call me Jill, please.
Jill? Not too, flowery at the end?
That's Albert Bloom, isn't it? You still feeling reluctant about doing it?
Inside Ottawa? I can think of better ways to spend my Saturdays. Can I give you a lift? Better yet, let me buy you dinner.
If you choose the place, I'll do the buying.
When the producer speaks, Albert Bloom listens.
Lead on, Mr. B. You ordered nice wine.
I'm no expert. Until I was 50, the only wine I ever drank was kosher. I drank schnapps, but not wine.
Now, what happened when you were 50?
Albert was working for the Observer newspaper in London, England. We went over to see him, and he ordered wine wherever we went. Nobody was more surprised than Albert when he came back to Toronto and his parents were drinking wine with every meal.
And now?
Now, I take it or I leave it. Except on special occasions.
Like this?
Like this. Denise, I have a little confession to make.
Yes?
I did not bring your suitcase.
I noticed.
I thought, why schlep it all the way to the restaurant when we can pick it up on the way home?
It does not matter.
You seemed very worried about it on the telephone.
But then I was in Kingston and you were in Ottawa. Now we are both together. I am not worried. The valise is safe in your apartment, yes?
It's the one thing in the apartment that is safe.
Then let us drink our wine and eat our food. And later, we go to your apartment.
Isn't this the best couscous you've ever tasted?
It is. That it is.
And in Ottawa yet.
Well, I'm not surprised. That it's the best I ever tasted, I mean.
You're not?
No. I've never had it before.
You're funny.
That was the intention. More wine, please.
You really never had couscous before?
I haven't had a lot of things before.
Oh.
So, you live with your father?
Yeah. If you wrote a book about it, you'd call it Love and Tension.
In balance?
If you call the roller coaster at Disneyland balanced. No, not a lie. We're each other's best friend. He keeps me on my toes. That is, when he's not treading on them.
Sounds like a marriage.
A limited partnership. He pretends the name over the door is Bloom and Father. I know better.
How long ago were you divorced?
12 years ago, I think. Yeah, 12 years.
Mine's not through yet. Do you date much?
No. No.
Just wondering. Oh, that's good.
Do you?
What?
Date much?
Nothing serious. Once bitten and all that.
Excuse me for asking, but Is this a date?
I shouldn't think so.
So, here we are. Come in, come in.
It is a nice apartment.
For Ottawa, it ain't bad. Sit down there. I'll get the suitcase.
Your son is not home?
He's on a story, maybe. So, here it is. Denise, I must ask a question.
I know, Isaac.
Tell me about the Mountie, Corporal Tally.
Oh, Isaac, it was nothing, a mistake.
No, Denise, it was not a mistake. He knows your name. You do not want him to look in your suitcase, and I take it for you.
Mais pourquoi? Why did you do that?
You were in trouble. I wanted to help you. My son Albert thinks his father is an old fool.
You tell him about me?
The suitcase. He knows it's not mine. I don't lie to my son. He thinks you carry drugs, maybe.
No, absolument pas.
No. So tell me. Perhaps you also think I'm an old fool?
No, Isaac. No. It is dangerous for you. For me, also. The man I work for, I tell him you know nothing. And tomorrow I take to him the valise.
He doesn't want it tonight?
He thinks I stay with you tonight.
To keep me quiet?
But Dad?
You would do that?
You don't want me.
That isn't the question.
Isaac, I like you. I like being with you. Isn't that enough? Please let me stay. Nothing will happen that you do not want to happen. Why do you laugh?
I was thinking, if only I was 74 again.
He's back. Oh, my God, so is she. His door's closed. She's in there with him. But he's 75, for God's sake. Go to bed, Albert. You're not helping anything standing here being jealous. You are a baby, Albert. A 52-year-old baby. Go to bed. Good night, Dad.
Albert.
Dad, what are you doing?
What do you think I'm doing? I'm sleeping on the sofa.
What about the money?
She's got it in the room. Go to bed, go to bed.
Dad.
We'll talk in the morning. Good night. Albert, are you up already? Breakfast I made 5 minutes ago. Aha, good morning.
Are we, alone?
Don't worry, we're alone. She's gone home already. Come, I got you a grapefruit.
And the money, is that gone too?
It's gone. She took it with her.
So where did it come from? Where did she come from, for that matter?
She comes from Rimouski, of all places. Where the money came from, I didn't ask.
You didn't ask?
What do you want? I should say, by the way, how come you're carrying $350,000 in cash in that case of yours?
But didn't you even ask about the RCMP?
I asked. Come, have your breakfast. I got fresh bagels.
You've been out?
Sure.
You walked all the way to the bagel shop?
No, I took the car.
Dad, you don't have a license. You haven't driven in God knows how long.
Albert, there are certain things in life you don't forget how to do.
Why this particular morning, apart from it being quiet and a Sunday?
I was following Denise.
Aha.
I wanted to see where she went with the money.
Aha.
Albert, enough with the aha.
Oh, listen who's talking. The king of ahas. So what did she do with it?
She took a cab to a swanky apartment on Murray Street.
That's all?
She lives in penthouse B.
How'd you find that out?
There's a fella in uniform stands on guard. We got talking.
Yeah.
The apartment is in the name of Grenier.
Your French is improving.
Albert, you understand nothing. You remember at the station, a guy tried to take my bags, get me in a cab? The $5 fare guy.
Yeah, how could I forget?
She must have phoned him from Kingston. He was waiting for me. It was the same cab Denise took to Murray Street 2 hours ago. He was waiting for her. His name is Grenier.
Are you sure?
He parked his cab at the meter. They went in. I took a look. She's not a big criminal, Albert. I know that for sure. It's not kosher, maybe, but drugs, something like that, no. Sit down, eat your breakfast. I'll get it.
Mr. Bloom.
Yes?
Remember me, sir? Corporal Talley, RCMP.
Oh, of course. Come in. Albert, we have a visitor.
How do you do?
Charles Talley, sir. RCMP.
What can we do for you, Corporal?
Just a detail, sir. Routine. It's your father I wanted to talk to.
Would you like a coffee and a bagel? Fresh this morning.
No, thank you, sir. You remember me from the train, do you, sir?
Of course I remember. That nice girl on the train, is she in trouble?
It was the suitcase I was wondering about, sir.
The suitcase? Oh, my suitcase. The corporal was very kind, Albert. He put my suitcase on the rack for me.
Why was it down, sir? You weren't getting off, were you?
No, it was on top of the young lady's bag, so she took it down to get her own.
I see. Do you have the case here, sir?
What is all this, Corporal? Is my father being accused of something?
Of course not, Mr. Bloom. Just routine, as I said. We've got to check everything out, you understand. Could I see the case, sir?
I think this is ridiculous.
Albert, it's no trouble. Just a moment, I'll go and get it.
Mr. Bloom told me you were his son. That's how I found it.
He did he?
Mm. My wife and I, we watch you, sir, all the time.
Here we are. This is the one.
So it is. Yes, well, thank you, sir. Do you mind opening it, sir?
Don't you need a warrant to search somebody's home?
Well, I can get a warrant, sir. Is there some reason why your father shouldn't open it?
No, of course not.
Albert, mind your own business. See, Corporal? There's nothing in it. It's empty.
So it is, sir, so it is. I am sorry to have bothered you on a Sunday morning. Goodbye, Mr. Bloom. Nice to have met you.
And you, Corporal.
I'll see myself out. And thank you, Mr. Bloom.
Not at all, Corporal, not at all. Have a nice day.
I thought you said she'd taken it.
Are you forgetting we had some experience with the Mounties? We traded bags. I told her to put whatever she had in this bag into the one of mine. What do you call it? I took precautions.
Don't be so pleased with yourself. You realize we're now accessories? I'd like to give that woman a piece of my mind.
Well, tonight you'll get your chance. She's coming to dinner. Schnapps? Who would like schnapps? Denise?
No, merci. But is it possible for me to have a cigarette?
Oh, don't worry. I have here 2 packs. I bought one this morning to give you tonight, and when I put it in my pocket, there was the one you gave me on the train. Here they are.
You are an extraordinary man, Isaac.
And you are an extraordinary woman, Denise.
You followed me today, oui?
You saw me?
No, the doorman told us you had been questioning him. So I know that you opened my valise, yes? Monsieur Grenier thinks you will call the police.
And you?
I think he takes a long vacation.
Leaving you behind?
Why not? I am nothing to him. A messenger only.
He trusted you with all that money.
Yes, he trusted me.
Albert, it wasn't a big crime. They are only amateur criminals.
You know what it is?
Now I do.
So what is it, Dad? What is it?
I bought this packet of cigarettes this afternoon.
Yeah.
You see around the wrapping there's a little strip? It says, Canada duty paid. And this is the pack Denise gave me. You see? No strip. No duty paid.
Of all the people I should sit next to on the train.
No. You didn't sit next to me. You were already on the train. I sat next to you.
I was lucky, I think.
Albert, are you here?
You've come back.
No, it's the Dybbuk.
And Denise? Are you going to see her again?
Does it matter?
I don't know.
Albert, I'm your father. Talk to me.
All right, I'll talk. You've known since this morning what Grenier and Denise were up to, and you did nothing about it. It's not good enough to say they're amateurs and it's only a little crime. It's smuggling. People like her cost the government $3 billion a year. $3 billion just from cigarettes.
Okay, enough already. I met a lady on the train. She liked me. I liked her. For me, that doesn't happen very often these days. She was in trouble. I helped her. I didn't think. I just helped her. I meet her again, and I like her more. I'm a little in love with her, maybe.
You warned them off.
I couldn't turn her in, Albert, but I could try to stop her. I wanted to find out if she would still come to dinner. So again, we get the aha. You think I'm too old to want a woman?
Dad, please.
What is it? With your father, you can't talk about sex? You think when you get a certain age, everything stops, maybe? You're 52 years old, Albert. I got good news for you. It doesn't stop. It slows down, maybe, but it doesn't stop.
Dad, this isn't necessary.
If we're going to share this apartment, it's necessary.
If we're going to share this apartment, we can't just bring women home without warning. We have to have an understanding.
You're right, Albert. I was thoughtless.
It's late, Dad. We should go to bed.
Good night, Albert. Sleep good.
Good night, Dad. And you'll pay for the tea?
I'll pay for the tea.
You've been listening to Lady on a Train, Episode 3 of Albert's Father by Henry Comore. Our stars were Marvin Goldhar as Isaac, John Stocker as Albert, and this week, Louise Petrie as Denise. Marilyn Lightstone was Jill, Ian Deacon was Luther, Dan Lett was Corporal Talley, Raymond Acala was Grenier, and Jack Mather played the conductor. The music was composed and conducted by Milan Kimlicka. The casting consultant was Linda Grierson. The script consultant was James W. Nichol. Our recording engineer was John McCarthy, with sound effects by John Stewart. Nancy McElveen was the associate producer. Our coordinating producer is Barry Morgan. Albert's Father was produced and directed in Toronto by Bill Howell, the executive producer of the Mystery Project. I'm Bob Boving, thanking you for listening and inviting your comments. Next time, Isaac spots a glitch in the high-tech world of banks. Hi, gang. Bob Boving here for the Mystery Project, and this week's episode of Albert's Father by Henry Comore. When Isaac and Albert have sort of agreed to share the apartment permanently, Albert is still not sure that Isaac should be allowed to go out alone. He may be 75, but that's no guarantee that, well, you'll see what we mean. Marvin Goldhar and John Stocker star in The Bank Job, Episode 4 of Albert's Father.
These are the numbers of the certificates. Can you telephone my bank in Toronto and have them transferred as soon as possible? I'll pay for the call, of course.
I don't have to telephone, Mr. Bloom. The computer will transfer them right away.
You don't say.
You should really have a chat with one of our personal bankers. It's all part of the service.
What next? You have this special area for old people. A little press on the button, and my money comes from Toronto like magic. And, what did you say? I have to talk to my own personal banker?
Seniors.
Beg your pardon?
We call it the Seniors Banking Lounge. Oops.
What?
Well, I don't really know. I've never seen this before. There's a 5-minute wait on the computer.
That's something new. These computers, they're not so great. They break down, too. Just like us old people.
It's probably the fire. There's a big fire at our main branch downtown. If you don't mind waiting, it'll be back online soon. Help yourself to a donut and a cup of coffee. There's some customers waiting.
The coffee and donuts I don't need, but perhaps I could talk to my personal banker. Where do I find him?
Her name is Lorna McCluskey. On the other side of the partition there. Just ask if she's free.
Thanks very much, Gladys. I'll come back after. Next patient, please. You don't have banks anymore. You have community centers at this. Excuse me, Miss McCluskey.
McCluskey, yes, sir.
My name is Isaac Bloom. Mrs. Nichols told me you're my own personal banker.
I'm busy at the moment. Can you wait, Mr.
Bloom? Sure.
Take a seat in the Seniors Banking Lounge.
Sure. Take a seat with the old people. They'll get around to you sometimes. Perhaps things haven't changed so much after all.
All right, everybody shut up and lie down.
Oi.
Lie down. On the floor. On your feet, everybody. Get down. Shut up. Shut up.
So you were just sitting here, sir?
She told me to sit, so I sit.
She?
McCluskey, my personal banker. The lady over there.
And you just stayed sitting?
What do you want? I should get up and arrest those colleges?
Well, you didn't get down on the floor like everybody else?
Sergeant Harvey, when you're 75 years old, it's not so easy to get down on the floor.
So you just saw their back?
It was enough. They were wearing hoods over their heads. But
Isaac, what are you doing here? Are you all right?
Don't ask. Do you have a camera?
Who are you, miss?
Jill Gerson, UNN. And who are you?
Detective Sergeant Harvey, miss. This is the scene of a crime. Didn't you see the yellow tape? No press. I must ask that you leave now.
Yes. Well, Mr. Bloom is a good friend of mine. If I leave, he leaves.
Mr. Bloom is free to go. Goodbye, miss. Goodbye, sir.
Sergeant, do me a little favor. I answered all your questions. Answer one for me.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bloom.
Sergeant, my son is Albert Bloom.
Yes, sir. I assume that is why Miss Gerson got here so quickly.
You see, Jill? A real detective. He puts 3 and 3 together just like that. So you'll understand, Sergeant, when I speak to Albert, the second thing he's going to say is, how much did they take?
And what will the first thing be, sir?
Well, he'll tell me to keep my nose out of police business.
Very sensible advice. Thank you for your help.
So, what's the answer?
Well, they haven't added it up yet, but they say no more than 20,000.
Come on, Isaac. Let's go.
So where's the crew? This is a good story.
Isaac, I'm a producer, remember? Who's handling it? He'll be around somewhere. I'm taking you home.
Jill, listen. That policeman, he's smart, but Sherlock Holmes, he ain't. He thinks just because I only saw their backs, I didn't see anything. And either he or the bank ain't telling the truth. If they only stole $20,000, what was in the 3 big garbage bags they carried out of the vault?
3?
Full to busting from the vault. You think that's just 20,000?
Doesn't seem likely. Let me come home with you, and I'll call Wolf at the station, see what he's got. That is if he's got through this traffic. Must be the fire downtown.
Aha!
Before Albert flew off to Paris, he gave me a warning. He said, if Dad ever says, aha, run a mile. I'm going to have to go on a diet for a month.
It's that fellow Wolf about the bank.
At the Ottawa main branch.
Police and fire department officials have confirmed that the fire began after an explosion in a safety deposit box room and was triggered by a remote device. At least 3 people were seriously injured, and 2 firemen were taken to a hospital after being overcome by fumes. Less than 2 hours later, 1 mile away, a small branch on Bank Street was raided by 2 men, described by police as being over 6 feet tall, dressed completely in black, and armed with automatic weapons. Customers and staff were forced to lie on the floor while the vault was cleared of approximately $20,000. The getaway car has not yet been found. Wolf James, UNN.
Put on the mute.
So, what do you think? Oh, that good, eh?
What do you want? They got it all wrong.
Well, what specifically?
They weren't both 6 feet tall. One of them was 5'8", 5'9" tops. He had special shoes to make him 3 inches taller, maybe more. That's one thing. Everybody didn't lie on the floor, number 2. And I'm sure positive they took more than $20,000, number 3.
So what did you want him to say? Everybody lay on the floor except Isaac Bloom, the father of our chief political correspondent?
Besides a producer, she's also a comedian. Regular Joan Rivers. Somebody else besides me didn't lie down.
Who?
My personal banker, Lorna something. She sits in a little cubicle behind the desk. I could see her feet from where I was sitting, and she never moved.
Well, neither did you.
Me, they didn't notice. Her, they couldn't miss.
Here's Albert.
For 3 days, the leaders of the big
For a few minutes, they couldn't wait.
competed with one another for the
Isaac Bloom.
Dad, are you okay?
Albert, you're on television.
So tape it and watch later. Are you okay?
No, I'm in intensive care. They redirected your call. Of course I'm okay. Why shouldn't I be?
Don't play the dumb schmuck with me, Dad. The bank robbery. The bank robbery. When I phoned the station, that's all they could talk about. Your father was in a bank robbery.
So what they tell you? I robbed a bank? How much did I take? And show some respect for your father. Don't call me a dumb schmuck.
Okay, I'm sorry. But don't get involved. Did you hear me? I said don't get involved.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll bet. Let me talk to Jill.
To his father, he doesn't want to talk anymore.
Hello, Albert?
Do you know what he calls his father? A dumb
Jill?
How's Paris?
Not as exciting as Ottawa, apparently.
How did you know I was here?
Well, you left a number at the station. How's he behaving?
Pretty observant.
Oh, my God, I knew it. Jill, keep him out of it.
What time is it there?
It's almost 4 a.m. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon. Jill, keep him out of it.
I'll do my best. Bye, Albert.
Bye, Jill. Miss you.
Albert? What did you say, Albert? He hung up.
So, you're my babysitter, huh?
What? Oh, don't be silly, Isaac. You know what a fusser Albert is.
A dumb schmuck, he called me.
Oh, whatever else you are, you're certainly not dumb.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, you know I didn't mean that. Are you going to make coffee or what?
Sure. Take no notice. Albert and me, you know how it is.
If Albert's anything like you when he's 75, he'll be very lucky.
Stop with the schmoozing and help with the coffee. Did he say when he was coming back?
He said he'd be back sometime tomorrow.
So, before he comes back, you go to the bank.
Oh, I do I?
Sure. You ask this woman, McCuskey, why she doesn't lie down.
Isaac, tell the police. Let them ask her.
You sound like Albert. You're a news person. It's a big story. It's a scoop. You don't want a scoop?
Aha.
Now she's doing it.
I've just realized something, Isaac. You're a dangerous man to be with. Very dangerous. Excuse me, Lorna McCluskey?
Yes?
I'd like to open a checking savings account.
Certainly. Please sit down.
Oh, thank you.
Have you had an account with us before?
No.
We have these forms to fill out. If you want to do them now, I can open an account for you right away.
Oh, yes, of course. Quiet today.
It's early.
Not like yesterday.
No.
Were you here? It must have been just awful.
Yes.
I read in the paper they made you all lie on the floor.
Yes.
But what did you do? I mean, I would have been frozen in my seat. I'd have been so scared.
I'm sorry, but do you mind filling out those forms over there? I have another client to see.
Gladys, good morning.
How are you? You're looking very nice.
Mr. Bloom, I didn't recognize you. Good morning.
Not working at the bank this morning?
Today's my day off. I work Saturdays, you know.
Oh, that's tough, working Saturdays.
No, I enjoy it. Having today off splits my week up. I like it.
Well, since it's your day off, let me buy you a cup of coffee. After all, it's only fair. At the bank, you always ask me to have a cup. See, right here. It's a nice place. You'll like it.
Oh, I shouldn't. I'm sure you've got much better things to do.
Not at all. Not at all. Let's sit over here. You like cappuccino?
That would be very nice.
Kate, 2 cappuccinos and raspberry tarts. A raspberry tart you have to try. Even in Toronto, they don't make better.
You were born in Toronto, Mr. Bloom?
Isaac, please, call me Isaac. My father and my mother, Oliver Shulam, came from the old country when I was 7 years old. I've lived in Toronto ever since, but now I live with my son Albert in Ottawa. It ain't so bad. The thing I miss is my bridge club.
You play bridge? Really?
Sure. And you, too, I can see. Our life master, I bet.
No, not quite. I just need 5 gold points.
You do? Then, Epis, we must play together. You go to clubs?
Since my husband died, every chance I get.
Here's the coffee.
Oh, this looks nice. Thank you.
That was a terrible thing yesterday.
I've worked for the bank for 30 years. It was my first hold-up. I didn't realize how frightened I would be.
Don't you have these alarm buttons to press? I thought you always had a button you could press with your foot.
Not anymore. If one of us can press Control, Shift, and the Z on our keyboard, it sends a signal to the other branches. But the computer wasn't working. Anyway, we're trained to keep absolutely still. Do whatever they say. The main thing is not to endanger life. You saw those madmen, Mr. Isaac. If they'd started firing those guns, we all could be dead. Oh dear.
Don't cry, Gladys. Nothing happened. Have some coffee.
I'm sorry.
No. And all for $20,000?
Yes.
You don't think so?
That's what they say.
It seems too little for 3 big bags.
I know.
Do the police know this?
They're not going to catch them. They shouldn't get away with something like that.
No.
Threatening people with guns like that.
Well, maybe you and me, since we're both bridge players, we can do something to help catch them.
You, Isaac? And me? We can't do anything. Can we? Albert?
Sorry, miss. No interviews. See you, Mac.
Who's that?
Macintosh Gravel. Scottish mother, French father, hates the English. Exec assistant in finance. Computer whiz, apparently.
Good name for him, Macintosh.
Aren't you supposed to be at work?
I told him we had an important meeting about the show on Saturday.
Corrupted by Ottawa already.
I was going to bring Isaac, but when I called, he was out.
Is he all right? The bank robbery, I mean.
Albert, he's your father. He's amazing.
I know he is. But if you ever tell him so, I'll kill you.
Good morning. You were recommended to me as the best shoemaker in Ottawa.
I don't make 'em, I mends 'em.
No. Everywhere I go, they say Shuffleman, the best in Canada.
Shuttleworth. Albert Shuttleworth.
Mr. Shuttleworth, I'm 5'8", 5'9". If I wanted to be 6 foot tall, could you help me?
Aye, I could.
You'd alter my shoes?
I remakes 'em.
Aye. It's not for me, you understand.
Oh, aye.
The son of an old friend is in Ottawa. He wants me to find him. I think perhaps he comes to you.
Why? What do they call him?
That's the trouble. You have children, you know what it is.
He doesn't want to see his father, so what does he do? He changes his name.
Oh, aye.
So, you are my last hope. He wants to be tall. Where should he come but to you?
Well, I've 3 regulars in Ottawa.
Only 3? In this city of Napoleons? I thought maybe you'd have 20, 30 for sure.
Well, a few years ago, maybe. When I had my shop in Spark Street. Now I've just 3 in Ottawa. It's up to you to find out which one's the lad. I'll give you the names. But they didn't come from me, mind.
What I can't understand is why you didn't lie down on the floor when those nunsers told you to.
If I'm going to get shot, I like to see who's doing the shooting.
Oh, very clever. Very intelligent.
Don't be so smart with your father. Eat your bagel. In Paris, these you don't get.
Never mind bagels. Just leave this bank thing to the police, will you?
You think they're so smart? They don't ask the right questions. You should know that better than me.
Really?
Albert, you're a journalist. Don't you always ask the 5 W's? Who, what, why, where, and this time the important one. When?
I don't get it.
The fire. 2 hours before the robbery, a fire at the main branch. So, what happened to the money? Aha, maybe it's Jill to welcome you home.
She met me at the airport.
Aha.
Aha. Everything's aha.
Welcome home.
Aha.
I told him you met me.
Uh-oh. I phoned to see if you wanted to come with me, Isaac, but you were out.
I thought you were going to the bank.
What?
I went.
No?
Knew nothing. She didn't say yes, she didn't say no.
Oh, wait a minute. What are you two Michiganders talking about?
The woman who didn't lie down, I told you. Lorna McCluskey.
McCluskey.
What's the difference? What sort of a name is that, anyway?
It's Irish, but that's not the big news. The robbers got away with $5.5 million.
Wow.
That's a bank job.
In a fire or emergency at the main branch, all money and securities are transferred to another branch. Listen to this. Changed every day. Only 3 people in the bank have access to that information. And yesterday, guess which branch it was?
So how did the robbers know?
Isaac, are you sure we should do this?
Of course I'm sure. Don't worry. We just follow her, nothing else.
Here she is. She'll see us.
No. She's going south. Just walk along with me. Keep people between us. She won't see us. And if she does, we're entitled to walk too.
My friend at head office told me that someone must have put a virus in our computer system.
Can you see her? I can't see her.
She's going into that bar on the corner of 4th Avenue.
What a good idea. Let's go have a drink.
Isaac, we can't.
Sure we can. Come on, Gladys. It's so dark in here, I can't see.
She's at the bar, the end stool.
It's coming in from outside. It takes me time to adjust. That's better. Gladys.
What is it?
Go, find a phone. Call my son Albert. Tell him where we are. Tell him to call the police. Tell him the bank robbers are here. Tell him there are 3 names and addresses on a list on my bedside table.
Isaac.
You see that man next to her? Look at his shoes, Gladys. Look at his shoes.
It's him. It must be him.
Go, find the phone. Go now.
Albert Bloom.
Mr. Bloom,
Yes.
this is Gladys Nichols from the bank. I'm with your father. He said, call the police. The bank robbers are here. Oh, come quickly, Mr. Bloom. Come quickly.
Now, to calm down, Mrs. Nichols. Tell me where you are.
At Dan's Bar on 4th Avenue. Do you know it?
Yes, I know it. Where's my father now? Can I speak to him?
He's watching them to see if they leave. He'd like you to look on top of his bedside table. Something about a list.
A list? Look, Mrs. Nichols, you don't know my father very well. Sometimes he gets a bit over-enthusiastic. Can you get him to come to the phone?
Just a minute. They've gone. They're not here.
Who's gone? Mrs. Nichols, who's gone?
Your father and Lorna and the robbers. They've got him. They've got him.
mister. You're going.
You, going to kill me? Mr. Feeney?
How do you know my name?
I got you off a list. I know your name. My son knows your name, the police know your name, and soon everybody will know your name.
He's lying.
I don't like this. Let's call Mac.
Shut up,
He followed Lorna, didn't he? He knows your name, doesn't he?
You see this gun, Mr. Bloom?
Sure, I see it. You going to shoot me?
Yes. I'm going to kill you, old man. Later. You just guaranteed that. For now, you're our insurance policy. Tie him up, Coxie. Tie him up good. Come on, Lorna, we've got a call to make.
Heute Revi Melech ist geworden ganz freilich. Ist geworden ganz freilich. Eli Melech.
Mr. Bloom! Mr. Bloom, you down there?
Here's your tea, Dad. You all right?
Stop your fussing. Stop your fussing.
I told you not to get involved. You nearly got yourself killed.
Okay, Albert. You told me. Enough already.
You're damn lucky I found that list of names Shuttleworth gave you.
How did the police know where to come? That it was Feeney?
They checked into Lorna McCluskey. Feeney's her brother. He was with the IRA. Well, that's who the money was for, the IRA.
And Mac. They were going to call somebody called Mac.
Yeah, my so-called friend, Macintosh Gravel. We were drinking together in Paris, for God's sake, at the very moment of the robbery. But he planned it. He got into the bank's computers and found which branch the money would be taken to in an emergency.
And he programmed the computer virus that stopped all communications at the time of the robbery. That was Lorna McCluskey's job.
To do what?
To set off the virus in the computer just before the robbery and to get rid of it afterwards. She's given a full confession. You were right about one thing, Isaac. We got a scoop, a hell of a scoop.
That's why she didn't lie down. I knew it was something.
I am so angry.
With your friend, the bank robber?
No, with you, my father, the meddler. You were nearly killed tonight. Do you realize that?
I realize. I'm sorry.
You're sorry. You're sorry. Well, sorry's not good enough. It's not nearly enough. You dragged that poor woman, Mrs. Nichols, into it. You put her life at risk, and Jill, too. You could have got her killed, too.
Did I know they would recognize me? I'm a fortune teller. I should know those mumses are going to kidnap me.
Oh, you mean you didn't know everything, Mr. Holmes? You can't outsmart the police and outsmart the crooks? You're not such a wise guy after all?
That's enough, Albert.
No. Let him finish.
You know what Ma called him? A Moshe Kapoyer. You know what that means? That's someone who does things sensible people would never do. But right now, wherever she is, she's looking down and saying, "You see?"
Albert, enough already. Isaac, drink your tea. It's getting cold. Hey, so what's so funny?
You know, whenever Ma got angry with Dad, she'd look at him and say, just like you did, "Eat your food, have your soup, drink your tea, it's getting cold."
And she was right. This tea is cold.
I'll make some fresh.
No. We'll make some fresh.
This has been The Bank Job, Episode 4 of Albert's Father by Henry Comore. Marvin Goldhar was heard as Isaac, with John Stalker as Albert. Marcia Bennett was Gladys. Marilyn Lightstone was Jill. David Storch and William Hope were Feeney and Cox. Our author, Henry Comore, made a cameo appearance as Shuttleworth, the shoemaker. Graham McPherson was Wolf James. And finally, Angela Guy was Lorna. The music was composed and conducted by Milan Kimlicka. The casting consultant was Linda Grierson. The script consultant was James W. Nichol. John Marinowitz was the recording engineer, with sound effects by Matt Wilcox. Kate Nickerson was the associate producer. Our coordinating producer is Barry Morgan. Albert's Father was produced and directed by Bill Howell, the executive producer of the Mystery Project. I'm Bob Boving, thanking you for listening and inviting your comments. Hi, gang. Bob Boving with you again for the Mystery Project. And this time, it's a brand new adventure for Albert's Father, the final in our series. Written by Henry Comore, who lives in Ottawa. These are stories that go to show that all the action doesn't happen in the House of Commons. There's danger in other venues. Marvin Goldhar and John Stalker star in Murder at the Regional, Episode 5 of Albert's Father.
Turn here, Gladys, turn here.
Isaac, I can't believe it. You're nervous.
Of course I'm not nervous. You're a good driver.
I didn't mean about my driving. You're nervous about the regional bridge tournament.
Me? I'm as cool as a cucumber.
You don't fool me, Isaac Bloom. Not one bit.
Okay, so I'm a pickled cucumber. Listen, Gladys, maybe it's not such a good idea you playing with me. It's not for myself, you understand, but you're such a good bridge player. A big tournament like this.
Don't be silly. Look how well we've been doing at the club. What is it now? 3 months? We're a good partnership. It'll be just like playing at the club, only bigger, more people.
That's just it, Gladys. All those people. How many is it anyway?
This morning, maybe 800. But Isaac, we're just playing in the senior knockout. You know our partners. Just play bridge and ignore all the others.
It's here, the parking. You turn here.
You'll be fine. We'll be fine.
There was a place there. Gladys, why are we going round and round?
Because it's early and we can get right to the entrance to the convention center. Here.
Don't worry, there'll be a lineup at the registration table. 800 people. It'll be like a zoo. Bridge players from Thailand to Timbuktu.
From Tennessee to Toronto, more likely.
So, you got our convention card?
Just a minute. Yes. It's here in my purse.
Oh, you lost.
What?
Oh, my God. Over there. No, Gladys, don't look.
It's a woman. She's hurt.
Don't look, Gladys. Don't look. Go. Call the police. Go.
Oh, Isaac, all that blood. I can't even... Oh, goodness. It's Millie. It's Millie Fenwick. You remember her at the club?
I remember her. Such a thing. My God. There's a queen of clubs pinned to her dress. Can you see, Gladys? Hey, you over there, quickly. Call an ambulance. The police. There's a woman hurt here.
What? What is it? What's going on?
Mister, you take Gladys here upstairs. Call 911. Ask for an ambulance. And the police. There's been an accident here. The lady's lying between those two cars. I'll wait here till they come.
I am the police. Detective Carey. Who are you?
I'm Isaac Bloom. We just got here.
I'm Gladys Nichols, detective. That's Millie Fenwick. We know her.
Carey, I've got a DWF, third level conference center parking, position E8. I want an ident officer, coroner, or an ambulance now. Stabbed twice in the chest, looks like. Hurry it up, Parker. Out. All right, Mr. Bloom, you take the lady upstairs, and neither of you go anywhere. We'll need to talk to you.
Okay, detective. We'll be at the bridge. Come, Gladys.
Mr. Bloom?
Yes, detective.
My wife, Dorothy Carey, do you know her? She's on the registration desk. She left a convention card. That's why I'm here. I was bringing it to her. I didn't think I'd be coming to work. Will you give it to her, please?
You're Dot Carey's husband?
Yes, I am, yes.
Now, please, both of you go upstairs.
But Millie Fenwick, the lady there, she's Dorothy's partner. They're on a team together.
Oh, God, yeah. Perhaps I knew. I don't pay much attention to my wife's bridge. I'll be up as soon as I can and break it to her. I'll talk to you both later, and if you can, keep this to yourselves. We don't want to panic up there.
I must phone Albert. This is a big story.
It's not a story, Isaac. It's a murder. A woman is dead. A woman we knew, played bridge with. And all you can think about is a story?
Gladys, I'm sorry. You're right. When you're right, you're right. But he's my son. He's a reporter.
He's a political correspondent, not a crime reporter. Anyway, the station will know all about it by now. Don't they have the police radio on all the time?
You and me, Gladys, we're witnesses. We can give Albert an exclusive.
Good morning, Gladys. Morning, Mr. Bloom. Here's your pens. Sign the cards, please. Now, go on, take some candies. A lot of people here for the first morning, eh?
Good morning, Dot. Isaac, give me that. Dorothy, here's your convention card. Your husband asked us to give it to you.
Gladys, don't move. Stay right here. I'm going to make a phone call.
Is George up here? I didn't see him.
No, Dot. We, met him on the way in the parking lot.
I bet he was mad. He dropped me off half an hour ago, and I think he's got a lot on at work, and he absolutely hates bridge. You know, he's never once been in the club. He just sits in the car waiting for me to come out. He thinks of himself as a sort of bridge widower. Hello. Welcome to the Ottawa Regional. If you wouldn't mind filling out...
Hey, honey, hope y'all don't mind me interrupting. What's all this about a murder? We got enough murders back home in Houston. Well, got a great community here in Ottawa. Delbert and me thought we got away from all that crime stuff.
Katie, honey, y'all seen Jake?
Yeah, I'm talking to the lady here. You know they've had a murder here?
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about anything else. The game starts in 5 minutes and I can't find Jake.
What are you talking about? There's been a murder?
Some broad in the parking
I
lot.
don't want to tell you this, but it's Millie Fenwick. She's been...
Stabbed to death, so they say.
Oh, no! No! Oh, God, please, God, no! No, God, please.
Small heart, please. Queen of clubs, please. Claim. Making 6.
Well played, partner. 14-30.
Thank you, partner.
Thank you. Excuse me. Dad, Gladys, what are you doing?
What are we doing? You're supposed to be a reporter. What do you think we're doing? Dancing a polka?
Stop it, Isaac. Albert, the police are going to talk to us after this match is over. There was no point in just sitting and waiting for them, so we thought we might as well play.
So can we play, please?
Certainly. This is my son, the reporter. Get a chair, Albert. You can be a dibitzer.
What on earth is a dibitzer?
What's a dibitzer? You know what a kibitzer is? Someone who sits and watches and makes comments. Well, a dibitzer sits and he watches and he gives his advice to the kibitzer.
But we don't have a kibitzer.
Aha! Now you know what I mean.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? Quiet, please. As you probably know, there was a tragedy here this morning. The police have asked me to inform you that you will not be allowed to leave until you all, and I repeat, all, have been questioned. For that reason, lunch will be provided courtesy of the Ottawa Regional and several restaurants in the Rideau Center. Quiet, please. Also, if anybody has seen Jake Spoletti, would they please inform one of the police officers at the door as soon as possible. Thank you.
Who's Jake Spoletti?
He's a professional. Gets paid a lot of money to play bridge. I'm told he's not a nice man.
A good player, though.
Oh, yes, that he is. He was on the team that won the Spin Gold last year.
I've heard of him.
Maybe the police think he did it.
Gladys, I'm surprised at you. You're just encouraging him.
I remember about that guy. Plenty people would like to see him gone, believe you me.
Do you really think so?
Oh, I don't believe this. The two of you are as bad as each other. I'll see you outside after the match.
Wish us luck, why don't you?
Good luck.
Mr. Bloom, I want it clearly understood that nothing you hear in this room can be used journalistically in any way unless you get a prior approval from our press officer. You are here as a courtesy because of your father's age.
Hey, I'm not so old. I can look after myself, thank you very much.
Shut up, Dad.
So, Mrs. Nichols, Mr. Bloom, you're absolutely certain you saw nobody when you were driving to your parking spot or when you got out of the car?
We saw nothing. What about you? You were there only a minute after us.
I'll ask the questions if you don't mind, Mr. Bloom. What was your relationship with Mrs. Fenwick?
Relationship? What relationship? We knew her at the club is all. She was a bridge player. A good bridge player.
I played with her a few times, Detective Carey. She was always very nice to play with. I'm sure your wife has told you that. She played with Millie a lot. How is Mrs. Carey? She was terribly upset when she heard.
I sent her home. If you think of anything else, please get in touch with me. I'll give you my card.
So, tell me, Detective, have you worked out why she had the Queen of Clubs pinned to her dress?
You saw that? Neither of you said you saw that.
You didn't ask, we didn't tell. But it's easy to know what it means.
Dad.
Really? You think it's that easy, do you, Mr. Bloom?
Take no notice of him, Detective Carey. He doesn't know anything. He fantasizes, that's all.
Gentlemen, I don't have time for this. Now, let your father answer the question.
Well, I don't say I know for sure, but Millie Fenwick was always in the running for the Ace of Clubs title. Or in her case, the Queen of Clubs.
Which is?
You mean you don't know?
Enlighten me, Mr. Bloom.
Detective, you know we don't play this game for money. Of course you can, but we don't. We play for master's points. And every year, the person who wins the most master points in the bridge club gets the title of Ace of Clubs. Or Queen of Clubs when it's a woman. Millie Fenwick won it twice.
3 times. She won it 3 times.
Aha.
Here we go with the ahas.
Are you suggesting she was killed out of jealousy?
It's not possible.
Wait here a moment, please.
Dad, will you keep your silly guessing games to yourself?
You don't really think Millie was killed out of jealousy, do you?
What else could it be? Everybody liked her.
Obviously not everybody.
Did either of you know Jake Spalletti?
He's a pro. Lives in Texas someplace.
Mrs. Nichols?
I know of him. I don't know him.
And you, Mr. Bloom?
I'm the amateur here, Detective. I just heard he's a professional bridge player.
Thank you. You can go now.
Hey, wait a minute. You said, did we know him? Is he dead too?
Our agreement still stands, Mr. Bloom?
Agreement? What agreement?
Not you, sir. Your son.
Anything you say I can't use. It still stands.
Jake Spalletti was found in the parking lot stairwell with a playing card pinned to his jacket.
Jake Spalletti, the Jack of Spades.
How could you possibly know that?
There were his initials, and not to speak ill of the dead, he was a chazer.
What?
I didn't know him personally, you understand, but everyone who did says he took advantage. He used tricks. He was a chazer. May he rest in peace. I'll tell you, Detective Carey, your killer has to be someone who knows a lot about bridge, and about the people who play it. It's got to be one of us. You know what I don't understand, Elbert? What's the connection?
The connection?
The connection.
I know I'm going to regret this. Between what?
Not what. Who?
Between whom?
Whom? Don't be so picky. The connection I'm talking about. Between Millie and Jake.
Are you asking or telling?
I'm asking. What's the connection? They didn't know each other. They didn't play together. There is no connection.
You know what I don't understand? I don't understand how you've lived so long.
What's to understand? In this life, there's only 2 choices. You die or you get old. I chose old.
First of all, these days, 75 isn't that old. Second of all, you behave like a 15-year-old. I don't think you've ever got past puberty, for God's sakes. You just don't get it, do you? Get it into your thick head that you could have been a few seconds away from getting murdered yourself. Not to mention Gladys. Any normal person a quarter your age would be scared, upset, confused. They'd want to get as far away from it as possible. But you, what do? You eat it up. You interrogate the police. You interpret the clues. You as good as say, "Hey, murderer, I'm over here. I'm asking questions. Come and get me." You're not a policeman, Pa. Don't try to be one. Just grow up, for God's sakes.
Are you finished? Can your father talk now?
When has anything I've ever said stopped you?
You're so smart, Albert. You've always been so smart. You think it never occurred to your father that there's a murderer at the bridge tournament? Someone we know, maybe? You think I don't see maybe what's out there? I look at the police, and what do I see? They got bupkis. You know what bupkis is?
Literally, it means chickpeas. Figuratively, it means nothing.
Right. 10 out of 10 to Albert. Your own reporter said it on television. No fingerprints, no eyewitnesses, no bloody gloves, nothing.
What's this got to do with anything? Okay, the police have bupkis, but you have less than bupkis. Your bupkis have bupkis. But does that stop you? Of course not. There you are, fussing, meddling, interfering.
Hold it. You're right.
But do you listen? Of course not. What did you say?
I said you're right. When you're right, you're right.
I am?
I'm an interfering old man. If you must know, Gladys told me.
You know something, Pa? I like Gladys.
I'm going to bed. We won our match this morning since you're so interested. So we have to play again tomorrow morning. And we both agreed to be on the registration desk first thing. Gladys is picking me up at 8 o'clock sharp. Say good night to your father.
Good night, Dad.
Good night, Albert.
Albert Bloom.
Albert, they just called me. They want me to be in charge of registration at the tournament.
Gladys, it's 6:10 in the morning.
It's Dorothy Carey. She didn't go home. They found her in a dumpster. Her throat had been cut.
Where are you, Gladys?
At home. Albert, this time, the Queen of Spades.
We'll pick you up at 7:30. Don't worry, Gladys. We'll be there.
Albert, what is it?
There's been another killing. Dorothy Carey.
I give out. I can't believe it. Was there
a card? Yes. The Queen of Spades. Work out what that one means.
Tell me something, Gladys.
What do you want to know?
Albert thinks I'm a foolish old man. Old, I admit, but foolish, I never thought of myself as a schlemiel.
Isaac, of course you're not a schlemiel. And I'm sure Albert doesn't think you are.
I don't know. When they were young, we taught them how to speak. Now that we're old, they teach us how to shut up.
Well, I wouldn't know about bringing up children. But from what I've seen, people who are together a lot have to learn how to put up with each other.
And that's what you think? Albert puts up with me?
Of course not. You have a lovely relationship. It's perfectly natural for you to get on each other's nerves from time to time.
I get on Albert's nerves all the time.
No, you don't. Of course you don't.
You two aren't you very busy this morning?
No, I've only had about 40 new registrations.
How about you, Isaac?
Isaac?
I'm sorry. I was thinking about something. What was that you said?
Nothing very important. I was asking you how you're doing.
Don't ask.
It looks as if people are staying away in droves.
Can't say I blame them.
Listen, they're bridge players. They'll come.
No, I don't think so. We'll be lucky to get 50 tables.
Morning, folks.
Good morning. Do you want to register?
No, thanks. Did that yesterday. A bad day. A very bad day.
You know who he is, don't you?
That guy's a somebody?
No. He's Del Gunther.
Oh, I remember now. He was looking for Jake Spalletti yesterday. Before they found him, that is.
Yeah. He and his wife, Katie, hired Jake for the week. $7,500 plus all expenses.
That's a lot of money to pay for a partner. Only have to buy Gladys a coffee.
And I have to put up with your kvetching.
Well, it's nearly game time. See you in there.
Have you seen our partners?
Don't worry, they're here.
I worry.
Isn't that George Carey?
The detective? I can't see him.
To your left, near the glass doors. How can they make him work after what happened?
You know, Gladys, you're right again. Why would he be here?
You know, my mother came from the north of England. I remember she used to say, "There's naught so queer as folk." She was right.
He's a detective. Perhaps he can't think of anything but finding the killer. That's what I would want.
He could be right here, anywhere.
I know it, Gladys. I think we play bridge now.
Just remember 2 things. Concentrate and listen to the bidding. Isaac, did you hear me?
Concentrate and listen to the bidding. Gladys, you're a marvel. I've got to ring Albert. You go inside. I've got to ring Albert.
Don't you run away from me, Isaac Bloom. What are you up to?
Shh. Don't say anything, Gladys. Just act normal. I need Albert here now. He'll know what to do.
Albert, there's a murder investigation going on here. My officers want to know why I'm here.
Jim, this is my father, Isaac Bloom, and his friend Gladys Nichols. Dad, Gladys, this is Jim Rowlands, Deputy Chief of Police.
Mr. Rowlands, before I tell you what I know, and Gladys too, although she doesn't know it yet, I have a question.
Mr. Bloom?
People call the police all the time. Do you record those calls?
Yes, we do.
All those calls?
I don't know where this is going, but yes, they're all recorded.
Ah, then I can prove to you who the murderer is. We've had 3 murders here in less than a day. What's the connection? Last night I asked my son this question, even before he knew about Dorothy Carey. Albert was angry with me because I asked this.
I assure you, Mr. Bloom, the investigators are asking the same question.
They played bridge, that's all. So what's the conclusion? Some mad person, what you call a serial killer, is out to kill people who play bridge?
A little far-fetched, don't you think? Mr. Bloom.
But that's when I think to myself another question. Yesterday morning, when we came here and found poor Millie Fenwick, what did we see?
I don't know, Mr. Bloom. What did you see?
We saw a body lying between 2 cars. It was Millie. And remember, Gladys, what did you see?
The blood, all that blood.
The blood. That's right, the blood. So much blood we didn't even know it was Millie at first. And then Detective Carey came and saw her too. And what did he do then? He called in to ask for an ident officer, a coroner, and an ambulance. And what did he say? You have it recorded, you can check. He said, "Stabbed twice in the chest, looks like." Now, how did he know that?
He's an experienced detective. He's seen stabbings before?
Yeah, but all we could see was blood, and he went no nearer than us. There's only one way he could have known that. If he, Detective George Carey, was the killer.
But what possible motive could he have?
Aha! That's the whole point. He had no motive. And he had no motive to kill Jake Spalletti either.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bloom, you've lost me.
But perhaps he had a motive to kill his own wife.
Uh-huh.
He's got everybody doing it.
So he killed 2 other people, so the police, everybody, would think it was some madness against bridge players. And maybe it was that, too. His wife Darcy played bridge all the time, but he pretended to know nothing about the game. He even pretended not to know she had won the club championship 3 times. I think maybe he chose to kill bridge players because his wife loved it so much. You can check. What I tell you is the truth.
You're absolutely right, Isaac. I remember Dorothy told us he had dropped her here 30 minutes before we came. So what was he doing all that time? You check, Mr. Rowlands. He won't have gone to the police station.
He went to get rid of the knife and blood. He told us he came back to give Darcy her convention card.
He gave it to us to give to her.
Maybe it was his excuse to see if anyone had discovered the body.
Or he wanted to discover it himself.
That's enough. And it's plenty. All this is supposition, but thank you, Mrs. Nichols, Mr. Bloom, Albert. You've done very well. Now I have a job to do.
Good tea. Thank you.
Nothing like a nice glass tea.
I have something to say.
So say.
I'm sorry.
You are sorry?
Yes. For yelling, for saying what I said.
It was nothing. We get on each other's nerves from time to time. It's natural.
I suppose.
Gladys told me that.
Smart woman.
Yeah. I'll tell you something, Albert. She's the first woman since your mother, Alea Sholem, I can really talk to.
I know.
I like her.
She likes you.
How do you know? She tell you?
She doesn't have to. Take my word for it. She likes you.
She's a friend.
And a partner.
She's a good player.
And tomorrow, you'll be regional champions. So, you'd better get a good night's sleep.
Tomorrow's the semifinals. After that, we'll see. Kiss your father.
Good night, Pa.
Good night, Albert.
You've been listening to the final episode of Albert's Father by Henry Comer, starring Marvin Goldhar as Isaac and John Stalker as Albert. Others in the cast were Marcia Bennett as Gladys, Frank Moore as Carrie, Diana Belshaw as Dorothy, Frank Ruffo as Delbert, James Morris as the director, Peter Dvorsky as Rollins, and Jillian Cook as Katie. The casting consultant was Linda Grierson. The music was composed and conducted by Milan Kimlicka. The recording engineer was Drago Grandich, with sound effects by Matt Wilcott. The associate producer was Colleen Woods. The program was produced and directed by Bill Howell, the executive producer of the Mystery Project. Our coordinating producer is Barry Morgan. I'm Bob Boving, thanking you for listening and inviting your comments.